Hello friends! Today we will draw a little bird on a spring branch together. I will be drawing in my sketchbook. A sketch with a simple pencil. I will need it for this. You will need a brush like this. Not very wide. And here is the thinnest brush, watercolor paints. And in the end, I will need a black and white liner. It may be needed, it may not. But I always keep them with me. Of course, a jar of clean water. A couple of paper napkins. They will never be superfluous. And of course, a good mood. I placed the sheet in such a horizontal position and I want the bird to be positioned on this side, while here there will be a branch with flowers. So let's get started. So first, we will create a small composition. Let's try to make sure that the branches do not go straight into the corners, so that the picture looks more vivid. So let's sketch it out, for example. We immediately understand the branch and realize that it is never perfectly straight. No branch in nature is ever perfectly straight. They always have some jagged bends. Some twigs thicken, while others thin out. At least just such a small sketch. Here, let's say, we will place a few blooming flowers. Here, let there also be some crooked little twig. We should understand that the branch, firstly, is not smooth, secondly, it has many knots. Here is precisely what we will now sketch together. We will thicken it a little later. So for now, it's like this. Here we will thicken it slightly. And I would even raise it higher because I want to place the blue tit right here. If we place it here, it means the branch should be beneath its feet, or we can add another little branch here. Let me outline the body of the blue tit right away. It can be closer to realistic, or it can be more cartoonish. The body consists of an oval, a roundish one. It will be sitting sideways to us, so let's say 2 little legs will go off here. Of course, the blue tit has a chest and a head somewhere, so here it goes. Here will be the tail in this direction. Here the wing will be extending. So the head will be somewhere around here. That is, here is on the same line. Not a very convex head. And transitioning into the body. Next, here is where the wing will go. So here it is. Let's adjust this line. We won't need it anymore. Like this. And once we have outlined here the main body of the bird, we now start working on where the bird's tail will be positioned. So here it practically goes along the back. Yes, this nape of the bird. Next is the little wing. Here it slightly curves inward. This is a part of the wing. Here it goes. And here is where a little tail extends without clear boundaries, so we will later gently blur it. So this is the wing, the chest. Let's continue working on the chest. This part of the bird will be shaded. Here it is. The front frontal part of the bird. Next, the chest. Here it is, like this on the blue tit. And blue, black. Here we will draw an eye for her. You can draw it a bit larger, then she will have a more cartoonish beak. It is attached somewhere around here, and we can even slightly shift it here, meaning it is not drawn directly on this line. Yes, here it goes, but as if the base of the beak actually starts growing here. Yes, in birds, and it has such a triangular shape, and from this triangular shape, a slightly convex tip like this. This will be the upper beak, and somewhere here will be the lower one. All this part here will be... You can make this part here more fluffy and convex here, for example, like this, and here have many thin feathers starting. Here we have a very light stripe that we will almost not fill in. And here is such a breast. Here it turns out. Translation 1. And here it goes 2. And here goes the middle. We will erase this. Let's draw the wing a bit over here. All right, and here as well. Now let's see what we have here. So here we have a dark tail. This part will be dark with little wings. Here we will draw a couple of feathers in detail. Here come the feathers. The chest is here. Darkens right here between the feet. We will have it dark. One leg goes away right here, the other one right here. We draw it at an angle, adding a tiny thickness. And here we are missing another little branch. We'll draw it just like this now. Let a blue tit sit on it. And accordingly, we round her feet around the branch like this. We just draw them schematically. Here they are, 3 such little legs, and we make the branches a bit thicker. We do this unevenly because in nature, a branch always has bark and some thickenings. And here we go. There we go. Our little bird is almost ready. The only thing we'll add now with you is a light spot. It will go. Blue tits, after all, come in different varieties. I like the blue tit with a dark line running here on its face. From the beak to the back of the head. This part will be the blue cap. So we leave this line immediately. It will be dark. The cap is light, and this cheek of theirs right here is also very light. And we are also lightening it up like this now, just erasing it. That is what we will not be shading with you. You can make it more fluffy, more round. But for now, let's leave it like this because the paint will spread out anyway later. And now this one, so that everything doesn't smudge here. Well, something has already smudged. I've already made a mess. I need to change it. It'll erase a little bit. So let's erase all of this a little bit. I will leave just a few guidelines for myself so it's roughly clear what goes where. And these little branches too. Since they are thin here, I leave this thickness here. You can slightly sketch this little thickness here. Here they completely fade away, becoming very thin. Alright, now let's carefully erase it all. And we begin. We take a brush and on the palette we pick up a lemony shade as the bird's chest has this lemony color. So we pick a very light one. I will take the palette closer. I already have some colors mixed here with green. Translate. I will clean up a bit. Let's get rid of all this excess. We won't remove everything because anyway the blue tits have this yellow chest which has a green undertone. So we're basically gathering lemons right now. And here, right under the chest, we apply with bold strokes like this. Leave it lighter at the bottom. You can rinse the brush. Next, we will add a bit of yellow here on the little wing. Here, we don't go over the white line. You see, I've added a bit here. Let this all dry. You can add a bit more yellow right here to the upper part. And you see, I am not drawing with a straight line, but immediately applying it as if they were tiny feathers. And in terms of volume for the bird, we let this dry and move on to the next step. Now we are picking up some kind of blue, gray shade that we need. Here I also have on my palette some blue and violet mixed together to achieve this kind of gray. And we start painting the top part of the crest and the head with this very light shade for now. And only the very top. We leave a light stripe right above the eye. So between here, there should be such a light space left. We do not fill it in. You can just bleach it like this. Left. Let it all dry too. Next, with the same color, this bluish gray, here we add everything in a circular motion. Let's try for now not to mix the colors. Otherwise, if they mix, then yellow and blue will turn into a very harsh green. We don't need it. Here, we leave the white part and color the tail completely. Somewhere you can slightly intensify the color, immediately add more color. You can add some bright blue stripes here on the wing shape. Here add a little more where the crest feathers are. And for now, we leave all of this as it is. You can add a tiny drop of this grayish blue, maybe even a hint of black, directly into the beak. And let it dry. Now we will pick up some color for the branches. We are picking up brown. Here you see I already have a mixed palette. Brown, yellow. To prevent the paint from clumping, I add dark brown here. Yellow ochre is called umbered. You can add even more brown. You can add a drop of purple. A drop of light violet. Here, start playing with different shades. So the branch, well, you understand, it's never purely black. It always has different shades. And we start these little branches by not coloring them completely in some places and lightly pressing on the brush in others. Look at how I do it. I lead with the tip pressed lightly, lifted. Again, somewhere I pressed a little, lifted. And like this, you can do these little branches sideways. And we draw them very quickly right here, boldly. Somewhere the branch might break. Let there be highlights on it. Let's go through while it's still very light, like this. It's good if the brush is somewhat semi-dry and even slightly scratches the paper. It actually creates a very correct effect, which is exactly what we need. So, adding a few more branches somewhere. So we need to understand that here we will have a composition with blooming flowers, maybe somewhere around here. Everything else is just branches. We add an even darker brown color. You can take a thinner brush, and in some places on the lower part, we add some dark color on the lower part of the branches because there are shadows. For example, at the intersections of branches, we also add some darker color. You can even mix in a bit of black, but don't overdo it. There shouldn't be too much of this black. And in the lower part with these interrupted lines. So this is not a detailed drawing, we have such a sketch, so it turns out to be very quick. Let's see where else we want to add branches. I am already looking for thin areas where I can add thin branches, and it is essential. We add to the lower part, you can use a bit of violet. Once it dries, it will look very beautiful. Dark purple. Here is the beautiful branch we have created together. It even looks a little like a cherry blossom, if the flowers were pink. Translate, but for some reason, I thought I would be drawing yellow flowers. Now let's take a look. Okay, the bird has almost dried. Now we are picking up darker shades. We will now further decorate it. Blue. Again, we mix blue, violet, and brown. Oops, too violet. In general, we mix blue. This can be light ultramarine blue or a darker blue. Add a drop of violet. So, what else can we add? So, We don't need any more violet. We need more brown and blue. And we should end up with such... Oh! Somewhere around this one should turn out dark blue color. This is what we will be using now. Take a thin brush. I will continue with my brush for now, and here around the face we paint with these little feathers like this. Press directly on the brush and draw the feathers like this. So we applied the tip, pulled away, applied again, pulled away. Here we do the same, leaving a light edge because blue tits have cheeks there that go half light, half dark. You can make it even darker, so we move here with the wing. Here we have such large feathers. I will outline them like this directly. We must leave a white stripe, and here we also have some tiny feathers. I press on the brush, lead it lightly. Pressed, released, pressed, released. Let's add a drop. Here's a little tail of yellowish shades. Yellow-green, what we've got. We also lightly press on the brush and sharply detach. Pressed and sharply detached. We will try to preserve the structure of the feathers here. Now we mix the blue-green shade. Here we have it turning out. I added some yellow and a little bit of blue. And here, the little bird also has feathers, but they are darker. And shift it completely towards yellow. Here we leave a white stripe. Now we move on to the chest. Here on the chest, also in this blue-green color. I probably lifted it too high there. Well, okay. That's it. Here it is, left with us. Now we can darken the feathers a little here, as if. Now it's probably time for me to change to a finer brush. And here, I want to add some thin feathers to it like this. We add it to the wing here. Great. Now we are using the darkest color. Here I have it just like this. This is a mixed purple, black, and we color in the eye. Make sure to leave a tiny white highlight. You can even leave 2 highlights. Shade it intensely. If you're not sure, you can do it with a black marker. So for now, we leave it as it is. We shade in dark around the nostrils of the beak. We almost do not connect it to the eye. So here we have just a row of feathers going like this. Here it connected, which I did want. But it's easy to fix it later in a dry way. To fix it in a dry with a white pen, we don't add there, and here too at the muzzle we go and sketch with dark, add here a little darker. Yes, I think the head is a bit disproportionate. I'm looking at it now, and it seems very small to me. So here, I'll just add a bit right here. And immediately I'll add some white watercolor to soften these transitions a bit. Like this. This way it will look a bit more charming, so let's continue. Here we also add a bit of blue, a few blue feathers. Now we return back to the chest. We pick up the blue-green color again. You can add a little more yellow to the leftovers if it seems too greenish to you. We move here under the belly, here we definitely darken it, and here we make a smooth transition from this yellow here to here, and here we also dilute it, meaning we need to soften this transition a bit. Great, now let's sketch the legs. Let's leave everything else for now. Yes, here, by the way, while we are here we have these little scales, when we draw, let's sketch them. Because there is something similar to little feathers. And with a fine brush in blue color, you can add details. Let's go back to the feet. You can take them again with such a gray, blue tone, add a touch of brown, and here you go. Make sure to leave a lighter shade from the center. If you look at the photos, you can clearly see their claws. They are very long. They practically wrap around the branch with their thin, long fingers. Here, well, darken it even if it spreads a bit, that will be fine. Here, you can also add a little shadow. Shadows in drawings play a very important role. They give such significant volume to any drawing, so don't be afraid. So I'm just painting them for now with this uniform color. Not very dark, and then we'll try maybe to draw the texture of these little fingers. But let's see, perhaps this won't be necessary. Look, she really hugged her tightly. The branch can even be slightly thickened. She is too thin for us. So right here, I would even add some thickness. Yes, just like this. Here you see the brush. When it's semi-dry, it gives really nice thin branches. And I take the brush like this and push it in the other direction, and you get very beautiful thin branches. While the bird is drying, let's take a wide brush and the color of the not yet blooming buds. I will have yellow buds because I ran out of the beautiful pink paint that was supposed to do this, but I will do it in yellow. You can use pure yellow paint. Here I take a straight brush and pure. It's better to change the water. Let's change the water because we will now be painting with light shades. I changed the cleaner medium, took in the place where I will have flowers. I wet these little triangles with the thin side that I will use. Branches, it's like a little flower bloomed on the branches. And then I take this lemon yellow color and right here I start applying this paint at the base, and it will naturally spread around the flower. You can help it spread a little by gently guiding the paint, just like this, so that it spreads out. You can rinse the brush slightly and help this paint spread further. Let's move on to the next flowers. For example, release a flower here with this color and add more right at the base. Let it spread out. It will look very beautiful. What would you like to add next? This can be done with gentle pressing movements when your brush has paint and at the same time plenty of water. So right now I have a lot of water on my brush and a lot of paint. And we take, for example, right here, press down, and we stretch out this part as if pulling it. Then you can blur the edges a little with clean water using a brush. Now, let's add one more here right away. Somewhere here. Let's wash it and then blur the edge a little to give it shape. We do everything with very quick, very light movements. Now, we also pick up a yellow color, but a darker shade. You can add a little bit of ochre, that kind of orange. And right here, we add this color to the base. And it continues to spread only at the base of the flower, where the flower is attached. We add with such precise dotting movements. We do the same here so beautifully. While it's wet, we can add a little bit of the flower's shape, lightly go over the edge somewhere here. There, yes, we can show that it ends here. So we do the same here while it's still damp. We can add a little water, add a little somewhere here, and that's how these spring flowers turn out. We look at the composition to see where we would like to add more. So maybe I would add another flower here, something like this. Of course, there are bushes that bloom very early, but they are the ones to release bright flowers first. But I would also add a few small, delicate lettuce green leaves. So let them dry a bit more right here. Here we'll also add some of this dark brown-orange color there, so we're not even forming the shape of the flower. Just like the brush stroke showed us this interesting blot, so we'll dance with you from the shape of this blot, adding a few drops here. Maybe some petals can even be tried to outline here, look. How to make it look delicate and beautiful. I guess I don't know. It feels like I want something more. Maybe right here, just one. Now well wet it. Let it blur for now. Let's add some water there. And a little bit of brown. Of course, some flowers can be behind the branch or they can be on top of the branch. Now I want to pick such a very salad green. A light, delicate shade, like a very, very light one. And tiny, tiny flowers, leaves that are just starting to bloom. I really want to depict them on the branch. Small ones, meaning take a small brush, draw lightly, then press and release. I lead press and release. They are really tiny, right? But they add such a springtime liveliness. Here. They can even be completely. Some stretched out, yes, perfectly straight. They may simply be turned to the other side, or just starting to unfold, hence being crooked. So your task is to draw a small leg on which this little petal, yes, the tip presses the brush and that's how we flick it off. Press the tip and flick it off. Here, you can make it a bit bigger. And again, in these flowers, while they are drying, we gather you can take a finer brush if you are afraid of smudging. And here, we add a bit of dark color to the base. A drop of dark color, which again gives liveliness to the drawing. Just a drop, a really tiny drop on each little leaf like this. So in my opinion, it turned out wonderfully. But we are not finished yet. We need to add a few things here and there. Let's see what else we would like to add. Before the work is dried, we might add something with a gel pen. So we take a fine brush and pick up the color golden ochre or orange, mixing it slightly with brown. With this color, we will now add to the yellow flower petals on the branch together. We try to make sure it's not too dirty. After all, it's the color we have. And we will add with a semi-dry brush like this, just semi-dry, you see. It should even have a little bit at the tip. Like an old broom opening up. And here, at the base of the flowers, we will draw these stripes together with you from the base like this. So basically press down on the brush to make it scratch a little. Somewhere, if it's very wet, you need to wait for it to dry. And right on the entire flower, we add these lines like this. Here, you can even darken it further. We scratch, that is, we make these scratches, lines, giving the flower its shape here, so that you can see it as well. Like this, it sees it. I press it straight, it spreads out like an old broom. You can create such an effect. Look, the flowers immediately have volume. Somewhere you can emphasize the top shape of the flower and somewhere you can poke with tiny strokes. Yes, like this. So I would like to add some extra details up here in this area. I can see that I am lacking green leaves. I will work on it a bit more and add some delicate green leaves. You can make them around the flower that has just bloomed right here, adding a contrast with a fresh salad green color. Right here, just on top, yes, somewhere around. Right here is where I saw that I just didn't have enough color. We wash. And here, my blue tit has already dried. I think I won't be working on the branch anymore. As for the blue tit, I will take a white pen. It has already dried. And now right here, I will outline this eye once again around it so that it is more visible. Here is the little beak. And I will add tiny little lines for the height of the feathers to the blue tit. Here is very small. By the way, here is the chest. It's possible, of course, to cover it with yellow. It's possible not to remove. There are different kinds of blue tits. I like the blue tit with a beautiful white spot around its eye as a model. I think this is very picturesque. Separate, finer feathers here. So what do they have there? Here are very tiny, perfect ones. Here, let's add a couple of long, sharp lines. And here, I would add texture with a white pen using semi-circular lines. In my opinion, it turned out wonderfully. A very beautiful spring picture. Immediately wanted spring right away. And the feeling that outside all these spring birds are chirping, while some winter ones stay with us all year round. We've created such a wonderful piece of work together today. We will draw something new and interesting together. Write your suggestions in the comments. Well, and I will offer you my ideas. Goodbye, everyone. Until next time, see you in the next lesson.